Hi, everyone. Today we're going to practice TOEFL listening, focusing on academic lectures, which many students underestimate. If you look at ETS score charts, you'll notice something interesting. To reach a C1/Score 5 level, you only need about 22 in listening, while reading, writing, and speaking usually require 24 or 25. That's a strong signal that listening is full of traps. The challenge is not vocabulary. It's understanding how professors organize ideas, emphasize important points, and lead you toward correct answers. Even if you understand every word, you can still get questions wrong without the right answering strategies. That's why strategy training, like what you learn in Dr. Burns' 2026 TOEFL listening course, is so important for scoring 25 plus. Today, I'll show you how to listen to a long lecture in the 2026 TOEFL, when to take notes, and how to solve the questions step by step. Understanding what TOEFL is really testing. The lecture we'll listen to today is about endotherms and ectotherms, a common biology topic. But remember, TOEFL is not testing biology knowledge. It tests whether you can follow how ideas are introduced, explained, compared, and supported. So while listening, don't try to memorize everything. Instead, listen for organization, emphasis, and cause and effect relationships. Professors often mention many technical terms quickly. You can usually ignore those. But when the professor slows down, repeats something, or explains a function or result, that's your signal to pay attention and take notes. I'll pause the audio at key moments so you can clearly see what matters and what doesn't. First listening segment.
So, to review, who remembers how animals are classified in terms of body temperature? Mike?
Endotherms and ectotherms?
Right. All animals are considered either endotherms or ectotherms. Therm means heat, and the main thing that distinguishes endotherms from ectotherms is the source of body heat. An endotherm, endo meaning internal, gets its body heat mainly from inside its body. It can generate its own heat through metabolism. An ectotherm, ecto meaning external, gets its body heat mainly from outside its body, from the environment, especially from the sun's radiation. Mammals and birds are endotherms. Ectotherms include reptiles, amphibians, insects, and most other animals. Body temperature is important. When the environment becomes very hot or very cold, animals must keep their body temperature within a normal range.
Classification. At the beginning, the professor explains how animals are classified by body temperature, endotherms versus ectotherms. She also defines these terms using word roots. This is common in academic lectures. If you know roots like endo, inside, and ecto, outside, you can understand and remember these terms more easily. Second segment.
In endotherms, this regulation is mostly physiological. The body changes its rate of heat production. Humans are endotherms. What does your body automatically do when it gets really cold?
Shiver?
Right, shivering. Any muscle movement increases metabolism, which produces heat and helps maintain body temperature. There's also brown fat. Like other fat, it stores triiodothyronine, but brown fat is unique because it produces large amounts of heat chemically, even without muscle movement. This is especially beneficial for small mammals in cold climates. When an animal gets too hot, dogs pant and humans sweat. These are automatic physiological responses as well.
So in endotherms, it's not really about behavior.
Well, humans might put on a winter coat or jump into a swimming pool, and elephants may splash themselves with water. But for the most part, endotherms rely on internal processes, not behavior, to regulate body temperature, unlike ectotherms.
Endotherms. Next, she explains how endotherms regulate body temperature. Notice how she emphasizes the words physiological and brown fat, especially the idea that brown fat produces heat chemically. When professors emphasize words like this, TOEFL often tests them. She also mentions behavioral adjustment, like wearing a coat, but clearly tells us this is not the main mechanism. So your notes should look like this. Endotherms regulate temperature physiologically, shivering when cold, panting and sweating when hot. Brown fat produces heat chemically. Behavioral adjustment possible but not primary. Third segment.
Ectotherms don't generate much internal heat, so their body temperature tends to match their surroundings. That's where behavior becomes important. Imagine a lizard living in the desert. The desert is cold at night and very hot during the day. On a cold morning, the lizard warms itself by lying in the sun. When it gets too hot, it moves into the shade. Through this behavior, the lizard regulates its body temperature. Now, put that same lizard in a temperature-controlled chamber and gradually lower the temperature by 20 degrees. The lizard can't move into the sun. What happens?
Its body temperature drops.
Right. Its metabolism slows down because metabolism depends on temperature. Even with that drop, the lizard can survive and function normally once it warms up again. Ectotherms can do that.
But an ectotherm probably wouldn't survive in extremely cold environments, right?
Ever heard of a frog being chased by a polar bear?
No.
Exactly. Now compare that to a mouse in the same cold chamber. When the temperature drops, the mouse's metabolism increases, like all endotherms. It produces more heat to keep its body temperature stable, just as it would in the wild.
Ectotherms. Now the professor makes a clear comparison. She says ectotherms have low metabolism. This is the first major characteristic mentioned. Because of this, their body temperature matches the environment. She gives a clear example. A lizard moves between sun and shade. Then she removes the behavioral option by introducing a temperature chamber. The lizard can't move. Result, body temperature drops, metabolism drops. The lizard survives. Then she contrasts this with a mouse in the same cold chamber. The mouse increases metabolism. It produces more heat to stay warm. This contrast is very important for TOEFL questions. Big picture, lecture organization. So let's review how the lecture is organized. Define endotherms versus ectotherms. Explain how endotherms regulate temperature, physiologically, chemically with brown fat, minor behavioral role. Contrast with ectotherms, behavioral regulation. Use an experiment to compare a lizard and a mouse in cold conditions. Once you understand this structure, answering TOEFL questions becomes much easier. Now let's move on and examine the 6 TOEFL questions, and I'll show you exactly how ETS turns this lecture into traps and how to avoid them. Question 1. What do the speakers mainly discuss? For main idea questions, always ask, what is the lecture mostly about from start to finish? The professor repeatedly talks about endotherms versus ectotherms and explains how each group regulates body temperature. This comparison runs through the entire lecture. A. Internal processes that help animals maintain constant metabolic rates. A is a trap. Metabolism is discussed, but only as part of the explanation, not the main focus. B. Differences in how animals regulate their body temperatures. This is what we are looking for. C. Behaviors that help some animal species survive in extreme environments. C is a partial idea. Behavior is mentioned, but only for ectotherms and as one mechanism. D. The difficulty of determining whether an animal is an endotherm or an ectotherm. D is wrong. The professor never says classification is difficult. Correct answer is B. According to the professor, what is distinctive about brown fat? For detail questions, always ask, what exact feature did the professor emphasize and how did she contrast it with something else? The professor explains that endotherms regulate body temperature in 3 ways: physiologically, chemically, and behaviorally. Brown fat is mentioned during the chemical explanation. A. It produces large amounts of triglycerides. A is wrong. Triglycerides are never mentioned in the lecture. B. It provides fuel for muscle movement. B is a trap. Muscle movement refers to physiological regulation, like shivering, not chemical regulation. C. It produces heat without muscle movement. This is exactly what the professor says. Brown fat generates heat chemically without using muscles. D. It insulates internal organs from the cold. D sounds scientific but is never stated or implied. Correct answer is C. Question 3. Why does the professor mention elephants? For example purpose questions, ask what idea comes right before the example and what idea does the example support. The professor mentions elephants splashing water on themselves to show that endotherms can also regulate temperature behaviorally, even though behavior is not their main method. A. To contrast them with small animals that live in extremely cold environments. A is wrong. Cold environments are not discussed here. B. To show an important behavioral difference between two mammal species. B is a trap. The professor is not comparing elephants with another mammal. C. To emphasize that body size helps determine an animal's metabolic rate. C is wrong. Body size is discussed later with mice and lizards, not elephants. D. To indicate that endotherms may use behavior to help regulate body temperature. This directly matches the professor's point. Correct answer is D. Question 4. What does the professor emphasize about the metabolic rate of ectotherms? For emphasis questions, listen for comparisons and numbers. The professor clearly contrasts ectotherms with endotherms and emphasizes that ectotherms have a much lower metabolic rate. A. It is regulated by taking short, quick breaths. A is wrong. Breathing is associated with endotherms, not ectotherms. B. It varies throughout the day. B is never mentioned. C. It is much slower than the metabolic rate of endotherms. This is exactly stated and emphasized with the mouse-lizard comparison. D. It increases to help the animals survive a sudden drop in temperature. D is wrong. Ectotherm metabolism decreases in cold conditions. Correct answer is C. Question 5. What happens to an ectotherm in a temperature chamber? For experimental questions, ask what changes when behavior is no longer possible. In a temperature chamber, the ectotherm cannot move to regulate its temperature behaviorally. A. It regulates its temperature by behaving in certain ways. A is a trap. Behavior works in nature, but not in a temperature chamber. B. It shivers when the chamber's temperature is lowered. B is wrong. Shivering is an endotherm response. C. Its metabolism remains unchanged. C is wrong. Metabolism slows down significantly. D. Its body temperature matches the temperature inside the chamber. This is exactly what the professor explains. Correct answer is D. Question 6. Why does the professor say, "Ever heard of a frog being chased by a polar bear?" For pragmatic questions, ask, what is the professor's attitude, not the information? The professor uses humor to respond directly to a student's comment and signal agreement. A. To indicate that the student's assertion is correct. This matches the tone and function of the statement. B. To introduce a fact she thinks will surprise the student. B is wrong. No new fact is introduced. C. To point out the effectiveness of the frog's defense mechanisms. C is unrelated. D.
to find out what the student knows about extreme environments. D is wrong. She's not asking a real question. Correct answer is A.
Before we finish, remember an important TOEFL listening strategy. Academic lectures often compare two types of something to explain a concept clearly. In this lecture, the professor compared endotherms and ectotherms. First, the professor explained what happens in nature. Ectotherms, such as lizards, can move to adjust to temperature changes. When it is cold, they move into the sun. When it is hot, they move into the shade. Their behavior helps control their body temperature. Endotherms, such as humans or mice, regulate temperature differently. They create heat inside their bodies, allowing them to maintain a stable internal temperature. Then, the professor described an experiment. In this experiment, the animals were placed in a temperature-controlled room, so they could not move to change their environment. This removed the behavioral strategy that ectotherms normally use. So what happened? The lizard, an ectotherm, could not control its body temperature. Because it could not move to a warmer or cooler place, its body temperature simply changed with the environment. The mouse, an endotherm, responded differently. Instead of depending on the environment, it increased internal heat production to maintain its body temperature. This kind of comparison, nature versus experiment and one type versus another, is very common in TOEFL listening lectures. Using a simple column structure like this helps you quickly capture the professor's comparisons, which is a very common pattern in TOEFL listening lectures.
Thanks for watching, and keep practicing your listening and note-taking skills for the TOEFL.